Welcome to Googlets. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a bundle of fascinating facts and weird wonders. 10 of your favorite Googlets episodes packed into one epic 30-minute journey. Googlet number 1, exploding termites. Let's kick things off with one of nature's wildest self-defense tactics. Imagine this. You're a termite in a colony, and it's under attack. Some species of termites have developed a shocking way to protect their family. They explode. Yes, you heard that right. These termites, often the elderly workers who aren't as efficient, literally burst open, releasing toxic blue liquid from special pouches on their backs. This sticky fluid is incredibly harmful, taking down any intruders who come into contact with it. As if exploding termites weren't strange enough, here's a fact about seals that'll make you double take. Scientists studying seals in Hawaii were stunned to see young seals with eels hanging out of their nostrils. The working theory? These young seals may accidentally snort up eels while foraging in tight crevices, or maybe the eels try to escape by, swimming up. Either way, it's a peculiar and uncomfortable sight for both the seal and the scientists involved. Googlet number 2, sharks and sea cucumbers' stomach aversions. Moving on to our ocean-dwelling friends. Did you know that certain sharks can eject their stomachs? That's right, they literally spit out their entire stomachs. Sharks might do this when they're feeling stressed or just to give their stomachs a good clean. They pop it out, shake off any unwanted contents, and then swallow it back down. It's a unique mechanism for keeping things tidy in the animal world. Googlet number 3, the puffing Billy vacuum cleaner. This next fact takes us back to the dawn of modern home cleaning. Believe it or not, the world's first vacuum cleaner was horse-drawn and powered by gasoline. Yes, it was so massive that it couldn't fit inside houses and had to stay outside, with hoses running in through windows. Called the Puffing Billy, this machine would have a team of people setting it up. Households could book a vacuum visit, and neighbors would watch the machine puff and rumble as it cleaned. Now that's a loud way to say goodbye to dust. Googlet number 4, the trial of a dead pope. Let's step back in time for one of the weirdest court cases in history. Imagine being so hated that even after you're dead, people still want to put you on trial. That's exactly what happened to Pope Formosus in 897 CE. Months after he passed, his successor dug up his body, dressed it in papal robes, seated it in court, and actually tried him for supposed crimes. They even assigned a deacon to speak on behalf of the silent corpse. In the end, Pope Formosus was found guilty, his fingers were chopped off, and his body was thrown in the river. The absurdity was so extreme that it caused a public revolt against the new pope, who later faced his own grim fate. Googlet number 4, Darwin Award for Lawyers. On the topic of bizarre courtroom moments, let's talk about lawyer Clement Vallandigham, who quite literally died while trying to prove a point. This lawyer believed his client was innocent of murder, claiming that the victim accidentally shot himself. To prove it, he decided to reenact the incident. But in a terrible twist, he accidentally grabbed his own loaded gun instead of an unloaded one. Let's just say, the demonstration didn't go as planned, although tragically, his client was acquitted based on the lawyer's fatal mishap. Googlet number 1, the real deadline. So we all know the stress of a looming deadline. But did you know that a deadline used to be a very literal line that could cost you your life if you crossed it? Back in the 19th century, prison camps would mark a boundary that prisoners weren't allowed to cross. If they did, guards had orders to shoot. The line was used to keep people contained, and it's the source of the term deadline as we use it today. Googlet number 2, barber pole origins. And speaking of things we take for granted, have you ever noticed those classic barber poles outside barbershops? In medieval times, barbers weren't just cutting hair, they were also doing surgeries and bloodletting. The pole represents these services, with the red symbolizing blood and the white representing bandages. A rotating sign might seem old-fashioned, but this quirky history lives on as a reminder of a time when your barber could give you a trim and maybe even pull a tooth. Googlet number 3, snoring in space. Let's shift gears to outer space. Ever wondered if astronauts snore? On Earth, gravity causes our tongues to fall back, obstructing our airways, and that's what makes us snore. But in space, with zero gravity, your tongue doesn't fall back, so astronauts don't snore. Imagine a blissful, snore-free sleep thousands of miles above Earth. Googlet number 4, the longest concert ever. Now, let's talk music. Composer John Cage created a piece called As Slow as Possible, and true to the name, it's designed to play for as long as humanly possible. Since 2001, a church in Germany has been playing this piece on a specially built organ, aiming to keep it going for 639 years. Each chord can last months or even years before it changes. This concert won't end until the year 2640, so if you're planning a visit, you'll have plenty of time to catch a performance. Googlet number 5, metallic smell illusion. Ever get that metallic smell on your hands after touching coins? Turns out it's not the metal. The smell is actually caused by a reaction between the metal and natural oils on our skin, creating that metallic odor. So, the next time you think you're smelling a coin, it's actually your own skin doing all the work. Googlet number 6, strange quarantine origins. Now let's get historical again. During the plague, Venice required incoming ships to wait 40 days offshore before letting anyone disembark. This 40-day wait led to the word quarantine, from the Italian word quaranta, meaning 40. Imagine 40 days of isolation. Back then, that meant no entertainment, no internet, just patience and prayer. Googlet number 1, the banned episode of Peppa Pig. Ever heard of Peppa Pig? What could possibly make such a cute cartoon get banned in Australia? Well, it's all because of one episode. In it, Peppa tells kids not to be afraid of spiders. They're small, they're harmless, and there's nothing to fear, right? Not in Australia. With some of the world's deadliest spiders, it's probably best to keep a safe distance. So to avoid giving kids the wrong idea, the episode was taken off the air. Treat all creatures kindly, sure, but maybe give spiders a little extra space down under. Googlet number 2, Disneyland's two-finger point. Here's a quirky fact about Disneyland. If you ever ask an employee for directions, they won't point with a single finger. Instead, they'll use 2 fingers, known as the Disney point. It seems polite, but there's more to it. Apparently, this tradition started because Walt Disney was a heavy smoker, and in photos, he often held cigarettes. Later, these images were edited to remove the cigarettes, leaving him pointing with 2 fingers. This subtle tribute lives on today, with all Disney staff using the 2-finger point. Googlet number 3, the world's shortest flight. Next stop, the shortest passenger flight in the world. On the small Scottish island of Papa Westray, flights between 2 airports are less than 3 kilometers apart, taking just 1 minute from takeoff to landing. Yes, it's that short. Passengers even get a certificate for experiencing the world's quickest flight. No in-flight snacks here. By the time you sit down, you're landing. Googlet number 4, the disappearing ink book. Here's one for book lovers. In Argentina, a publisher released a book that literally disappears over time. Once you open the package, you have just a few months to read it before the ink fades away. The aim was to give readers a sense of urgency and to promote works by new Latin American writers. It's a pretty wild idea. Read fast, or the words will disappear forever. Googlet number 5, the Czech Dream supermarket hoax. In 2003, 2 Czech students pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever. They created ads for a fictional budget supermarket called the Czech Dream. Thousands of people showed up to the opening day, only to find a fake storefront in an empty field. The entire thing was staged as part of a documentary project. Angry? Absolutely. But the lesson was clear. Sometimes, things that sound too good to be true really are. And their documentary? It won awards. Googlet number 1, rolling shutter effect. Our first story takes us back to the early 20th century, where photographers faced a quirky challenge. Back then, cameras had very slow shutters, so capturing fast-moving objects wasn't easy. When a photographer snapped a picture, the image was captured from bottom to top, which meant things like cars came out looking distorted and stretched. Imagine trying to take a selfie, but your phone takes a full second to capture the top of your head. Talk about a bad hair day. This slow shutter speed created what's now known as the rolling shutter effect. The wheels looked especially weird, like they were made out of stretchy rubber. Over time, this mistake became a popular symbol of speed and motion. And here's the fun part. That effect is still used today by photographers and even musicians to add a cool twist to videos. Googlet number 2. The London Beer Flood of 1814. Next up is the infamous London Beer Flood of 1814. Picture it. A massive vat in a brewery, holding over 500,000 liters of beer, suddenly explodes. Within moments, a wall of beer is rushing through the streets at 4 meters high, wiping out everything in its path. I know what you're thinking. Free beer. But trust me, this was less Oktoberfest and more disaster movie. This tidal wave of beer was so powerful, it demolished buildings and tragically claimed 8 lives, including 4 children. After the disaster, the streets reeked of stale beer for weeks. And to add a strange twist, the brewery claimed it was an act of God, not poor planning. Googlet number 3, airplane emergency landing. In 2013, an American Airlines flight made an emergency landing, but not for the usual reasons. Passengers didn't hear the pilot's calm voice saying, "We have a slight mechanical issue." Instead, they got a free concert, and it was anything but soothing. I mean, everyone loves Whitney Houston, but this concert wasn't exactly Grammy material. One passenger on the flight decided to serenade the cabin with "I Will Always Love You" on repeat. And I mean nonstop. She just kept singing, loudly and off-key. After hours of this, the flight crew had enough. They made an emergency landing just to get her off the plane. Yes, they had her escorted out in handcuffs. The passengers were, let's say, relieved to have a break from her concert. I bet that flight crew was saying goodbye, and it's bittersweet, but mostly sweet. The passenger didn't get to finish her journey, but she did leave an unforgettable impression on everyone aboard. Moral of the story? Sometimes, karaoke is best kept on the ground. Googlet number 4, chainsaw for childbirth. Ready for a twist? The first chainsaw wasn't invented for cutting trees, it was for childbirth. Back in the 1830s, doctors developed a small, hand-cranked chainsaw to widen the birth canal by cutting through bone. Yikes, who knew the first chainsaw horror stories were actually happening in medical wards? This smaller chainsaw was actually seen as a safer alternative to the more dangerous C-section of the time. Imagine being a patient back then. It's enough to make anyone thankful for modern medical advances. So next time you see a chainsaw, just remember, it wasn't always just for lumberjacks. Googlet number 5, Flat Earth Conspiracy and Buzz Aldrin. The 1969 moon landing was one of humanity's greatest achievements, but not everyone believes it happened. Meet Bart Sibrel, a self-proclaimed flat earther and moon landing denier. He spent years hunting down astronauts, including Buzz Aldrin, asking them to swear on a Bible that they really went to the moon. Aldrin, famously unimpressed, responded with a quick jab, right to the face. When in doubt, a moon landing punch-out. Aldrin's like, "I went to the moon and I can prove it. On your face." Sibrel went so far as to follow Aldrin, calling him a liar and a coward. Finally, Aldrin decided enough was enough, and his punch went down in history. Aldrin wasn't arrested because, frankly, many people felt it was well-deserved. It's become one of the most infamous confrontations between science and conspiracy theories. Googlet number 1, Drunken Birds Experiment. First up, the chaffinch, one of nature's songbirds. These little guys are known for their crisp, clear songs, but what happens when you add a little juice to the mix? Scientists wanted to find out, so they gave chaffinches a tiny bit of alcohol. The results? Hilarious. Turns out even birds have their off nights, especially after a drink or two. Their songs became quieter, muddled, and a bit off-key. Scientists think alcohol affects birds' vocal control, much like it does in humans, making their melodies less organized and a little sloppy. Now we know birds have bad karaoke nights too. Imagine a bird singing Free Bird after a few too many. Googlet number 2, African football and magical amulets. In African football, players sometimes rely on something other than skill to protect the goal, something magical. In one famous game, a goalie placed juju charms around the net for protection, believing it would prevent the other team from scoring. Who needs a wall of defenders when you've got amulets guarding the goal? But things took a turn when the opposing players noticed the charms and threw them away. Moments later, they scored. Coincidence or magic? It's hard to say, but this incident caused such a stir that magic was officially banned in African football. Since then, charms and rituals have been outlawed on the field, though superstitions still run strong. The only goalie magic that's allowed now is quick reflexes, and maybe a lucky rabbit's foot. Googlet number 3, polar bear fur color. Polar bears might look white, but their fur isn't actually colored at all. It's transparent. Underneath, they have black skin, which absorbs heat to keep them warm. The transparent fur acts like a fiber optic, scattering light to make them look white, yellow, or even orange, depending on the lighting. So technically, polar bears are like nature's biggest mood ring, just a tad scarier. In zoos, polar bears can even turn green if algae start growing inside their fur. Imagine that, a green polar bear. That's not something you see every day. Turns out their hollow fur isn't just for show, it's a mini ecosystem. Googlet number 4, pen caps and safety holes. Did you ever wonder why there's a little hole at the top of most pen caps? It's actually a lifesaver. If someone accidentally swallows a pen cap, that tiny hole lets air through, reducing the risk of suffocation. Kids and even adults tend to chew on pens, so this little design tweak has saved countless lives. Note to self, next time someone chews a pen, remind them it's not on the menu. Googlet number 5. Yo-yo's ancient origins. Yo-yos might seem modern, but they've been around since ancient Greece. That's right, thousands of years ago, Greeks played with yo-yos made of wood and clay. They weren't just toys either. Some were offerings to the gods. Imagine ancient philosophers pausing deep debates to show off a loop-the-loop. Who knew Socrates was the original yo-yo master? Googlet number 1, Balloon Fest disaster. In 1986, Cleveland, Ohio hosted Balloon Fest 86 to set a world record by releasing 1.5 million balloons into the sky. Sounds like a party, right? Well, it was, until it wasn't. As the balloons floated up, the weather turned ugly, and they all came right back down, covering streets, highways, and even Lake Erie. The city was in chaos, and so much so that even a search and rescue mission was interrupted. Tragically, 2 fishermen who'd gone missing were never found. Turns out a charity event gone wrong can do more harm than good. Next time, Cleveland, be more careful with world records. Googlet number 2, Alcatraz's warm shower strategy. Alcatraz, the infamous island prison, was known for housing the most dangerous criminals in terrible conditions. But there's a strange twist. Prisoners were given warm showers, a luxury unheard of in most prisons. Why? Not for comfort. The idea was that if prisoners grew used to warm showers, they'd be totally unprepared to face the freezing cold waters of the San Francisco Bay during an escape. Pretty clever, right? Even a warm shower can be used to cool down an escape plan. Nothing like a hot shower before a dip in 50-degree water. Thanks, Alcatraz. Googlet number 3. We all know bees as little yellow and black buzzing machines, but did you know there are rare blue bees? Yep, these little guys are actually fantastic pollinators, and unlike their yellow cousins, they build their nests underground. Not many people have spotted them, but if you do, consider yourself one of the lucky few. Just don't expect any blue honey. Might not look as sweet as you think. Googlet number 4. Imagine a volcano eruption. Black smoke, ash everywhere. and then suddenly lightning strikes. This isn't CGI. It's a real phenomenon called volcanic lightning. When a volcano erupts, ash particles collide in the thick plume, building electrical charges, and voila, lightning right out of the volcano. It's like Mother Nature saying, "Stand back, I'll handle the special effects." Who needs a movie budget when you've got a volcano doing all the work? Googlet number 5. The Edo period in Japan was known for its rich culture, art, and fart battles. Yes, you heard that right. Ancient Japanese scrolls depict humorous competitions where people literally battle each other with their gas. This ancient art form, called heigassen, was like an early form of comic relief for the Japanese, showing that even centuries ago, people appreciated a bit of toilet humor. Guess they blew their competition away. Literally. Googlet 1. Andy the goose with shoes. Meet Andy, a goose born without legs who didn't let that stop him from walking. In 1988, a craftsman made special tiny shoes for Andy, allowing him to walk alongside his fellow geese. Andy's story went viral, so much so that Nike even offered a lifetime shoe supply. This little goose became an icon of resilience, inspiring kids and adults alike. Who knew the first athlete signed by Nike would be a goose? Googlet 2 Cocaine Bear, aka Pablo Escobar. In the mid-80s, smugglers accidentally left a bag full of cocaine in the woods, where a curious black bear found it. The bear consumed so much that, well, let's just say it didn't make it. This unusual incident earned the bear the nickname Pablo Escobar. Now, a taxidermied version of it is displayed in Kentucky as a reminder of one bear's accidental brush with fame. Talk about a berry wild time. Googlet 3, the shortest prison sentence. Back in 1905, a soldier named Joe Munch received what might be the world's shortest prison sentence, a mere 1 minute. After a night of drunken brawling, the judge decided Joe needed just enough time in jail to sober up. After 60 seconds, he was a free man. Talk about short and sweet justice. Don't blink, you might miss the entire sentence. Googlet 4, chocolate-coated fish. Ever had chocolate-coated fish? Well, in Finland, there's a company that makes exactly that. Sounds bizarre, but people say the mix of salty fish and sweet chocolate is actually delicious. And yes, this unique combo has even won awards for best confectionery. Forget pineapple on pizza, we've got chocolate on fish now. Googlet 5, Julia Butterfly Hill and Luna the Redwood. In the late 90s, Julia Butterfly Hill decided to save a 1,000-year-old redwood tree from loggers by living in it for 738 days. That's right, through storms, wind, and even threats from logging companies, she stayed put in her treehouse, ultimately striking a deal to protect the tree permanently. Now that's dedication. I guess she was really rooted in her beliefs. Ketchup's fishy beginnings. Let's start with ketchup, everyone's go-to sauce. Most of us think of it as America's condiment, right? But believe it or not, ketchup actually started out as fish sauce. In ancient Asia, it was made from fermented fish, specifically anchovies, which were salted and preserved in barrels. And when the British got hold of it, they thought, why not give it our own twist? They experimented with adding mushrooms, sometimes oysters, and turned it into a mushroom ketchup that was the height of culinary sophistication back then. Only in the 1800s did tomatoes finally make the cut. And thank goodness, because can you imagine a world where fries are dipped in fish sauce? Just think, in an alternate universe, we'd be squeezing mushroom paste onto our fries. Bon appetit. The treadmill's dark origin. Speaking of modern comforts with wild origins, let's talk about the treadmill. Believe it or not, most of us see it as a tool for fitness today. But back in 1818, it was actually a device of punishment designed specifically for prisoners. Known as the perpetual staircase, it was invented by British engineer William Cavid and designed to keep inmates working in silence and isolation. Each prisoner would step continuously, hour after hour, in a partitioned space, usually to power grain mills or pump water. 6 hours of endless steps, day in and day out. You'd never complain about your workout again if you knew this history. And here we are, paying for gym memberships to put ourselves through the same thing. Guess it's all about perspective. Wallet neuritis. Beware of the bulky wallet. Next up, the hidden hazard lurking in your back pocket. Yes, I'm talking about your wallet. Keeping a bulky wallet in your back pocket can do more than just make it hard to sit comfortably. It can actually twist your spine, affect your pelvis, and lead to a condition known as wallet neuritis. Over time, this uneven pressure can pinch the sciatic nerve, leading to back pain, leg numbness, and that burning sensation you can't seem to shake. Who knew carrying cash had such a hidden cost? So, maybe it's time to keep that wallet slim. On the bright side, maybe it's time to ditch those extra loyalty cards. Do you really need that donut shop punch card from 2012? Coffin torpedoes in graveyards. If you think wallet neuritis is dangerous, wait till you hear about 18th century graveyard security. Body snatching was so common that people went to extreme lengths to protect graves from being disturbed. That's right, graves were fitted with explosive coffin torpedoes. Imagine a grave robber trying to sneak in, shovel in hand, only to have an explosive surprise waiting for them underground. These traps weren't just for show, they were real and could cause serious harm. So if you wanted to rob graves back then, you'd better be ready to risk your life for it. It's the ultimate rest in peace guarantee. And you thought home security was intense. The origin of the thermos. Finally, let's talk about something a little less explosive. The thermos. Ever wondered where it came from? Originally, the thermos was called a Dewar flask, named after a Scottish scientist who invented it to keep liquids either super hot or super cold for scientific experiments. But when German glassmakers Reinhold Berger and Albert Aschenbrenner saw its potential, they made a few tweaks, slapped on a patent, and branded it as the thermos in 1904. Suddenly, everyone had to have one, from hikers to office workers. Now, it's practically a household staple, keeping your coffee hot and your soup warm. Turns out it's not just coffee staying hot, these inventors were boiling over with ideas. Googlet 1, the ejector seat's hidden risks. Let's start with something high-flying, the ejector seat. It might look cool in the movies, but did you know ejecting from a jet can actually be extremely dangerous? Each time a pilot ejects at high speed, they risk spinal fractures, head injuries, and even lung damage from the intense force. And since aircraft speeds keep increasing, ejecting just gets more and more dangerous. While survival rates are high, pilots know that ejecting is a last resort move that can leave a lasting impact. Who knew saving your life could be so risky? And imagine if the pilot had a wallet in their back pocket, double the back pain. Googlet 2, goldfish, the underwater invader. Now, onto something that seems harmless, goldfish. Ever thought a cute little goldfish could turn into a monster? If released into the wild, goldfish can grow huge, sometimes the size of a football, and can seriously disrupt the ecosystem. They breed like crazy, gobble up resources, and even push native species out. It's like the Goldfish Gone Wild edition of an underwater disaster movie. Next time you think about releasing Goldie into the pond, just remember, today's pet can be tomorrow's ecosystem wrecker. Googlet 3, the farmer who refused to move, living on an airport runway. Picture this, a bustling international airport with planes constantly taking off and landing. Now imagine, right in the middle of that airport, a small family farm. That's the reality at Tokyo's Narita Airport, where a farmer refused to sell his land to make way for the airport expansion in the 1960s. While most neighbors eventually took compensation, he stuck to his roots, preserving his family's legacy. So nestled right between the runways, you'll find fields of farmhouse and a farmer who won't budge. Forget airport lounges. This farmer's got the ultimate VIP real estate. Who else can say they live on a runway? Googlet 4, the shoe bomber incident. Ever wonder why we have to take our shoes off at airport security? You can thank Richard Reed, the infamous shoe bomber. Back in 2001, he tried to set off explosives hidden in his shoes during a flight. Thankfully, the match didn't light, but his actions led to strict security protocols, and now, taking off your shoes is part of the routine. He changed airport security forever, one failed match at a time. And just when I thought I was done worrying about sock holes, Googlet 5, California's Proposition 65 warning labels. Finally, let's talk about those health warnings on everyday items, like guitars. In California, anything with even a trace of a harmful chemical requires a health warning. These warnings pop up on everything from coffee mugs to musical instruments. So if you've ever bought something with a may cause cancer label, don't worry, you're not alone. It's just part of California's strict Prop 65 law, making sure you know what you're getting into, even if it's just a guitar. Who knew rocking out could come with a warning label? Believe it or not, Minecraft wasn't always called Minecraft. It started as Cave Game. Yep, Cave Game. How exciting. Sounds like a simulator for rock collectors. Imagine telling your friends, hey, let's play Cave Game tonight. I'm guessing it wouldn't be the global hit it is today. Minecraft Order of the Stone was another early name inspired by Marcus Persson's love for fantasy games. Creepers, the iconic green mob that haunts your dreams, were actually created by accident. The developer was trying to make a pig, but goofed up the coding. The result? A creature that explodes in your face. Thanks, coding. So remember, kids, even mistakes can be dynamite. This coding error became a symbol of the game and helped define Minecraft's quirky style. That eerie wailing sound you hear from ghasts, it's actually the sound of a cat being startled awake. The cat belonged to Minecraft's sound designer, Daniel Rosenfeld. Basically, every time you hear a ghast, imagine a very confused kitty. Meow terror alert. Daniel Rosenfeld, also known as C418, composed the entire Minecraft soundtrack. Minecraft is taught in schools. In some schools, Minecraft is a legit subject. Students learn about urban planning, environmental science, and even teamwork by building in the game. Move over math. Minecraft is here. Finally, a subject where getting blown up by a creeper counts as a learning experience. There's even a version called Minecraft Education Edition, used in over 115 countries, a scale model of Denmark. In 2014, Denmark's Geodata agency recreated the entire country in Minecraft. It was so detailed that players could explore real streets and landmarks. Some players even griefed it by planting TNT. Talk about an international incident. This project aimed to make geography fun and interactive, but it also highlighted how Minecraft can bring virtual tourism to life. Here's a hidden gem. There's a 1 in 10,000 chance that the game title will display as Minceraft. Easter eggs like this are why we love Minecraft. So, if you see it, screenshot it, because it's rarer than finding diamonds on your first day. Mojang is known for including fun surprises like this in their games. Did you know that one day in Minecraft lasts just 20 minutes in real life? That means you're speedrunning through weeks in just one gaming session. So if your crops don't grow fast enough, just take a nap. It's Minecraft's version of time travel. Learning to plan your day efficiently in the game is a skill that translates well to real life. Rename a sheep Jeb score in Minecraft, and it'll cycle through all the colors of the rainbow. This feature is a nod to developer Jens Bergensten. It's basically Minecraft's version of Skittles. Taste the rainbow, but don't eat the sheep. This Easter egg doesn't affect the wool you get, it still drops its original color. In the game, iron golems sometimes give roses to villagers, a sweet reference to Hayao Miyazaki's classic anime Castle in the Sky. Who knew iron golems were hopeless romantics? Somebody get them on a dating app. This action symbolizes protection and kindness in the game. Here's a fun fact. Minecraft started as a small indie project by Marcus Persson. No big companies, no massive budget, just a lot of creativity and passion. And now it's owned by Microsoft, proof that indie dreams can buy you a private jet. Marcus sold Minecraft to Microsoft in 2014 for $2.5 billion, but it remains the best-selling game of all time. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through 10 episodes of Googlets. If you loved learning something new and want more of these bundles or fresh episodes every day, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Got a favorite fact from today's video? Or a topic you'd love us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, there's always something new to discover here on Googlets.